It's 2K.
This is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Chain told me all things possible, and God told me stomp on all my obstacles. Try to do my own thing, God audible. Oh, you talking wild?
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Dylan and Nathan Show, the coronavirus edition. I hope everybody is doing well that listening to us out there. This is kind of different for us. I'm recording here at my house late night. This is Monday, March the 30th, 2020. Dylan is at his home. We are practicing social distancing and we are isolating ourselves just like everyone else should be. And hopefully that this thing will pass over soon. But we do have a good episode for you that we want to get out this week. Our good friend JX2000, Jake Moffitt, we had him on last season, but this time he's got a new album coming out. It's coming out Friday, April the 3rd, and we want to tell you about that. So Dylan joins us in on a FaceTime call as we interviewed our good friend Jake Moffitt. So take a listen and go and check out our friend JX2000 and his new album coming out Friday, April the 3rd, just called Shut Up and Trap.
I'm just trying to do what I can, trying to work as much as I can. I
got you.
prepare for the year ahead. We're all kind of struggling in our own ways. So
Yeah. So, man, Dylan, I know that you're kind of over there at your house chilling out, and yeah. So, talk with Jake. See what he's got going on there with the coronavirus in Arkansas.
Dude, I'm literally just not doing anything. I'm so bored out of my mind. We're just kind of trying to keep away from everybody else right now. Trying to let everything pass, let the scientists do their job. Try to get not affected with it, really. That's the biggest thing. I haven't left the house in 3 weeks, so.
So Jake, have you been making an album?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I figured you would,
Always.
man. So tell us a little bit about your newest album. What are you working on right now?
Well, I just finished work on it. It's called Just Shut Up and Trap. It's a trap album. It's kind of just an album about redefining what the word trap means, what it means, for what environment you're in, and also what stereotypes it has along with it, and also what kind of music you can make when not adhering to those stereotypes. So.
When was the album actually made? Did you just finish it and then release it immediately, or have you been done and slowly releasing it? What was your
So
plan, I guess?
the album was originally called Soft. And Dylan would have seen this maybe on the behind the scenes Instagram, but the album was originally called The Sophomore Standout, going after being a sequel to Freshman Demos. And then I thought about it from a bigger perspective, and I thought about where I started out, how I started out making ideas, how I started out thinking about album name ideas. And originally it wasn't about things like, just making it sound cool. It was actually about the idea around it and the broad idea that surrounded the whole movement behind that one album. So it's kind of just an album where, I'm trying to pay homage to an old album that I did by doing some new music in some new ways and saying some new things.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of talk about what we talked about last season when we had you on, and maybe we have new listeners now. So tell us about, how do you produce your music? What is your process, and what is your mental state when you're writing lyrics and coming up with beats and stuff like that? How do you make an album, and kind of walk us through that process?
For me, this past time, it was a lot different than the past album. And I'm sorry, I think on the last question, I kind of went off on a ramble. Dylan, to your question about when this album was made, it was made since this sophomore year. So like I was talking about the Sophomore Standout, it was kind of just my album for sophomore year of college. And, once I figured that out, I started thinking of that album, I guess you could call it title, but really it was just something to build around, something to put in a collection of songs into one group and say, here's an album. But that album was made all the way through sophomore year, and a lot of it was made in the past 3 weeks, just because I've been in the apartment, because of the coronavirus, and just making music and everything. Yeah. But Nathan, to your question about the mental state and everything and making an album, it's really important to pay attention to it. And I thought it was cheesy to like pay attention to your mental state when you're making an album or when you're creating something, but it's super important because if you don't make sure you're always clear-minded, always think. There's times that I hear songs totally differently because maybe I'm having a bad day or my mental state's off or I've got something else in my mind and I hear a song and it's way faster or it's way slower than I want it to be and it's just not there. But your mental state has to be clear and, if you want to make the best music you can and make the freest music you can, your mind's got to be, it's got to be in a place for sure with God. It's got to be in a place where you're always leaning on God to, provide you words to say, provide you music to play. That's a bar.
Yeah.
But for sure, just making sure that everything you make is with a clear head and with the right purpose.
Right. Okay. Talking about yourself and your music and where you are spiritually. So what do you distinguish yourself as an artist and how does your religion play into that?
I distinguish myself as, I think the best way to put it is just an artist. I mean, I've, for 4 years of my life now, produced everything I've ever made. I've sang everything. I've done everything pretty much by myself, aside from times when I've had features. But just an artist and how many parts I play into my music. And it's not something I like to brag about, but it's something that I like to take confidence in and make sure that I'm up to date on each part, of how I release my music, how I record my music. But as far as the religion part, from the start of me making music, I've always made sure to not fall into that complex of not knowing which way you want to go.
Yeah.
Where I see it with like somebody like Lecrae is they started out making music 100% in full action to move the church forward, and then maybe slacked off towards the end of his career on that same stage, whether it be the Winter Jam stage or whether it be a Christian band stage, whatever it may be, that more fell off towards recently. Whereas there's people like NF who, since they've started making music, have never made their music a 100% push for the church. And I think there's points of contingency to say that that's not wrong.
Yeah.
What NF's doing and what even some of the other Christian rappers related to Lecrae, some stuff that they are doing, but they started out doing that and they stuck to their mission. Whereas sometimes people get confused when they see somebody like Lecrae, maybe switch up a little bit later. When in turn, it's not necessarily wrong what he's doing, but compared to what he's done before, that's where things get determined. So.
Right. Okay. So we're going to kind of transition back into the coronavirus now, since that's really the big topic that everybody's talking about now. So we're talking about, the state of the church and coronavirus right there. So Dylan, let's talk about a little bit about that. Talk with Jake about the coronavirus.
Right. So a part of Christianity, is church as a whole. And with this coronavirus, it's kind of put that on a hold. So Jake, how does that make you feel as a fellow Christian, seeing churches not actually be able to meet?
Of course it hurts my heart, but at the same time, I feel like the Lord has a plan for the church and where he wants it to go and how he wants it to build back up from this.
Definitely.
Because the coronavirus affected every part of everybody's life, including religious life, to everybody in America. So I'm ready to see the church go back to normal as far as people meeting, of course, but I'm also ready for this coronavirus to end. And if that means God providing us ways to have church and social distance at the same time, I'm for it. And, I know some people would disagree with that maybe, but I know that God created this earth and He wants us to protect it and, use it for His glory. So.
That's right, man. If I'm in the same boat you are, more so because I work in the church and that's my job and my calling, and so now everything that we know is been kind of taken away, and we're having to figure out new ways to continue to teach. And I've seen God work through some of that, and I've through my live videos and things, I've seen people that would come on and watch that typically probably would not walk in the doors of our church. But on the flip side of that, I have seen some that I usually see every week that I haven't heard from in the last couple of weeks. So it is tough on both ends, trying to figure that out. So
no, you're very right, and I think that's just more of where my perspective leans to in the time of crisis, because I think everybody's kind of freaking out right now. Everybody's making rash decisions or thoughts on what they think the coronavirus is and how they think we should handle it. But I think that's just where my perspective is leaning more towards, because I want church to not suffer from. I want churches to not suffer from this, and I know that they will in some way. Right. But it's all God's plan, I guess. That's all we can say.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's true. And from my perspective of it, and a lot of times, especially in the church, you hate to talk about finances. You hate to talk about money, because there are so many people in the religious aspect of it that will try to beg for money and things like that. And that's not what we're all about. We feel like that God is going, as long as we do what God is wanting us to do, He's going to bless us. But you really, the state of the church after coronavirus, man, it is probably going to take a hit financially, as with everybody else. It's not just because people aren't going to give or they're not able to put something in a physical offering plate. It's just that people are going to struggle in their own personal finances, loss of jobs, cut of hours, and having to cut money here and there. And so we get it as church leaders. We understand that. And we just, trusting in God that He's going to provide for us. But I do think that there are a lot of churches that will hurt at the end of this, not only in people, but they will also hurt financially.
Definitely, no, for definitely. Sure. It's I've seen it affect my church at home. It's already, we've got a church with a lot of old people in it. Not, I don't mean to say it like old people, but we've got a church with a lot of people over the age of 60 attending it. So it's a kind of a caution for us right now, and it's kind of sad to see, because a lot of those members are, they want to come to church and they don't care, but at the same time, we want to protect them and they want to protect themselves. So it's tough. It's tough to work through. It
is. So let's talk more about your music. What's coming up in the future, man? I know you just released some stuff. Tell us about what you just released, and then talk about what's coming up in the future.
Once this comes out, I think for a while, I remember last year I did that big retirement, and something that, I thought was going to be the best for my situation at the time, and ended up, music was the thing that kept me going this year. So, going on from that, really from, I would say, November to now, the album has been just totally fleshed out and put in 20 different formats.
Yeah.
And, broken down, deconstructed, constructed again, made 10 new songs for it, made 3 new songs for it, cut those 5, cut those 20. It's just so many that have been made and cut, that so much work has been put into it, more than before on the previous album. So it's been a lot of work. So I think I'm going to take a break. I did that whole retirement thing last summer. And I'm not going to retire now, but I think for rapping, I'm wrapped out. I did a full album of no R&B songs, everything rap. So this is kind of what I wanted to put out. I thought it was the quote unquote hardest thing I could do in my situation, just to surprise people and shock people with, I'm not just a singer, and also I'm not that guy that you say can't rap because he's not black. So,
right. Yeah.
Definitely.
I wanted to make sure everybody knew where I was coming from.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Dylan, talk with Jake some about this album and things that he's got going on coming up promotional wise.
Right. So yeah, like Jake, I know you've been releasing like single after single after single leading up to the big release of your album, and man, I know that must have stressed you out a lot. But kind of tell us about your promo plans. What all you planned for it? And, yeah, just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was wanting to do a music video so much for this album, but time didn't allow it. And also my impatience didn't allow it. I probably could have released this in maybe May and gotten a music video in there, but I wanted to release the album. I'm sick of the music. But as far as promo, I'm releasing that Instagram. I want to show people how this album was made behind the scenes, you know, what concepts you'll see that the album went through so many different phases. I mean, you can only imagine my brain just thinking about this album at, 1 a.m. thinking, what am I going to do with the title? What am I, you'll get to see a lot. But with that Instagram, you'll get to see a lot of cool things. Just how my past 9 months has really been. Other than that, I want to make sure that everybody sees this album, not because I just want to be popular. I want, some more money. I really just want people to see this album because I know that there's a lot of talented people around my area, a lot of talented people around, my old area in Mississippi. Yeah. But we just don't get recognition because, we're in states that are not as recognized as some others. So we've got a little bit more of a hill to climb. But
yeah,
that's the mission, that's the goal, and that's also to bring glory to God while I'm doing it. So.
Sure. So you've talked a little bit about, how this album sounds and the different sound that you went hard on it. And so tell us, how does this album that's coming out, how does it compare to everything else that you've released in the past and maybe some things that you're going to release in the future? How does it compare?
I would say compared to Just Don't Abbreviate Me, which this is officially like a sequel to that album. So Just Shut Up and Trap. Sequel to Just Don't Abbreviate Me. I think I had to go through Just Don't Abbreviate Me to get to a place of making quality music. That album wasn't as quality as I wanted it to be. Uh-huh. It wasn't as quantity as I wanted it to be either, but it was fun to make. And I had to go through it, and I had to learn the ropes before I got to freshman demos, which was me really just finally being able to bring my raw ideas into it and have a beginner idea of what program I was using on my laptop and how to do this stuff. And then with this album, it's just me mastering places of mixing and pieces of music that I never thought I'd be touching, like violins or certain instruments that I never thought I'd be using. Me being able to use certain things because I know more and I'm better at using the systems that I've got on my laptop. So it's kind of just been a learning process, but this time I've been able to relax and just be more free-minded and make, clear-minded music because I've, done all the dirty work. So.
Cool. So, we talked about, this album being compared, and you kind of talked about, the behind the scenes, and Dylan follows you there on Instagram. So Dylan, kind of tell us what you see from your side and then talk with Jake about what he sees on his side.
Man, from my side, I'm just seeing like something I'm excited for. Every time Jake posts something, it makes me even more excited for his album, more excited for his music, and just more excited for him as an artist, as a fellow musician. So Jake, kind of tell me like what thought process you have whenever you post things, whenever you put stuff up there, like what's going through your mind?
Well, I really wanted to push it just to be like a, just me posting freely about what, what's happening with the album. And I was going to have it open the whole time and people could just see it whenever I posted. But I really thought, it could be more of an advertising tool, one, but also just a tool for people the week of the album to be able to see everything, they want to see. Not really everything. There's some stuff that's not on there as far as like recording goes, but they can see whatever they want to see about, the thoughts behind this album, my thought. And basically that's what the Instagram is, what you're talking about is my thoughts behind posting is basically just fleshed out in all these different ideas that I'm, going through, which is a lot of people think, whether it be girls, my friends, my mom, dad, they think me taking this as serious as I do, with the advertising and, the album week, the album turning week, getting the album in on time, doing all that type of stuff. They think the artist part of it is kind of corny and, kind of funny that I actually pay attention to it, maybe, but I want people to see that it's more of hard work and it's more of, I don't maybe duck hunt as much as others, where others put all their time into duck hunting. I put more of my time in the music side of my life.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's just a different grind, different trap, and that's kind of what the album is circled around too. So,
All right, so cool. Well, today, like we said, is Monday, March the 30th, and so the album comes out tomorrow.
no, it comes out Friday.
Friday. Okay, good.
Yes,
So
sir.
you're still
Comes out
working on,
Friday, so.
you're still working on some things.
I'm totally, completely done with the album. That's the good part, is I have to have it turned in a week early.
I got you.
So the week of album, I can just advertise. I can sit back. I can relax and
Sure.
wait on. I don't really listen to it a lot the week of. So.
All right, so for you guys listening, and we'll try to get this episode out this week, but Friday, April the 3rd, go and download it and buy it to iTunes, wherever you get music from. JX2000. Jake, tell us about the title. Just Shut Up and Trap, and tell us anything else that you want people to know about your album.
So Just Shut Up and Trap. Wanted it to be more of a scream to the face, kind of just shut up and go out and do what you're gonna do, because if you sit around and wait, I've learned that. I've learned a lot this past year, that if you sit around and wait on something, you wait on a passion of yours, or you wait on whatever it may be, you may not get that opportunity again.
Right.
And if you wait on having fun with your friends and recording and getting to record with all these people. And that was one thing about this album that just made total destruction. When, I'd make a good beat, it'd be total destruction in my apartment, because, we'd have 6-7 guys behind me just chilling. And, when I make a good beat, they all go crazy. And then, somebody raps over it, or I rap over it, or what I sing over it. It just all, the way this album was made was just, it was a process, but it was also some of the funnest times of my life, and some of the most memorable times of my life. So this album has been super fun to make. I've had a great time listening to it. I hope everyone else has a great time listening to it. I'm excited, and it's going to be everywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, you name it. I'll have links out on my Instagram, Jacob_Moffitt, and we'll figure all that out. And we're just going to have a good time listening to the album. So
Cool. Good deal. Dylan, you got anything else you want to ask?
No, man, all I just want to say is congratulations, dude. I know you've been working really, really hard on this. I'm excited for the release. Everything that I've listened to so far has been such a banger, and, man, I couldn't be more proud of you, dude.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all so much for your support.
Yeah, man, Jake, anytime we want to help you out and support you anyway. We're proud of you.
Always, dude.
And I've been knowing Jake for a long time, and so we're glad to have you on the show and promote you anytime. And we're looking forward to this album and anything that you've got coming out in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all so much.
All right, Jake, man, take it easy.
Later, bud.
Yeah, later.